Hi again. So now to Bizet's Layers the End Suite. This one's going to be tough to do in 2.5 minutes, so I'm going to be super quick on each of the movements. Firstly, the overture. In my experience, one of the most important things to be aware of are the length of notes and making a difference, for example, between a staccato crotchet and a staccato quaver. Also be aware, very often the notes are tied to one another, and that will also make a difference in the length. So for example, a crotchet tied to a quaver will be a longer note than just a crotchet. So really be aware of the length of notes and when you actually stop. A good tip with that can be to be aware of the rest that actually comes after that tied note, and if you think about where the rest is placed, and that you're not resting for longer, let's say, than a quaver, then that will also help you figure out where you should come off the note. The adagietto, which is just for strings. Strings, you must always make a very warm and delicate sound, but without being weak. So you've got to really work out its technique, yeah, making sure that you're still getting a good full sound, but that it still has that lightness and warmth to it. The carry-on, of course, are the bells. So it's very important that those people with the crotchets, the accents, that they really have that bell effect, so that you strike it and come away from it immediately, kind of like the bouncing accents. In the next section of that movement, the 6/8, which I think comes at letter C, it's very important that the accompaniment has that just a very gentle pulse, you know, that it's almost still, that pulse. We don't want to feel too much of the rhythm, too much accent. It just wants to be a very gentle pulsating accompaniment to the melodic line, which of course is very legato and flowing. The intermezzo I'm going to skip over because I think it's relatively straightforward and there's not too many things to worry about in there. And finally, the farandole. The opening, of course, relates back to the overture, to the first movement of the first suite. But from letter B, where that tempo changes, it's very important that you keep that tempo all the way through the rest of the movement, and that you keep it very steady. Violin's just that little tip again at letter E, where you've got those runs, just to make sure you place that quaver. The note that you're going to still needs to be on the beat, so you have to figure out exactly where to put in that run, so it's just before there, not too early, not too late. As that movement gets louder, be careful to keep that tempo steady. That is the most important thing. Very often, as more and more people, orchestra players, come in and it gets louder and stronger, it will also slow down. The tip is not to think of each beat or each bar, but to think the longer phrase. Think the 3-bar phrase or the 4-bar phrase, so that you're really playing through. I hope that's of some help. Thanks.